Hey friends, welcome or welcome back to this channel. My name is Stacy here at Stacy Makes, and if you are new here, we talk about crochet stuff, usually plushies, plush yarn, markets, that kind of thing. And if you're not new, welcome back. Appreciate you guys being here. So I don't have a ton to show you today, but I do have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 patterns that are new to me. One is a test, and the other 3 are patterns that I've had for a while and I just hadn't made. I'm trying to work through some of my collection of patterns and trying some of those things. And then I have some stuff that I worked on that was my own that I want to show you, and I want to talk about a little bit of a pattern release. Okay, first up, let's talk about the pattern test that I did this week. I only did one. I know I've done I feel like a few every week for a while. And this week I only have one to show you, and I don't know if I'll have any this week. I still have a little bit of a break from that outside of testing for my friend April from the Cozy Buckeye, which is what I have to show you today. So she released another market animal, and that is a Chappie the Cappy. And this is him. This is Premier Basics Chenille. This is steel cut oats and chocolate. I used a 6mm hook, 20mm eyes. There is an option in the pattern for this little eye slants, which would make this even cheaper and make it cheaper. I don't know how much faster it really would make it, because you gotta embroider the nose, so you would just do little slits instead of inserting eyes. It's probably not any faster, but it would be cheaper than putting a pair of safety eyes in it, and it would make it baby safe. There's no tail, there's no great big ears on this animal to make, so it is pretty fast, pretty easy. I think I'm going to put 16 on this guy. The one thing you work from the front to the back and you make everything as you go, including the little ears and the bobble feet. The one thing I would recommend is that you don't stuff too heavily in the front. That way it will sit. So I kind of, every once in a while, if I feel like I've done that, I take my scissors and I'll kind of go up into the front, like at an angle like this. And I'll pull back, I can kind of pull back some of the fluff from the front into the back part. You can see what I'm doing. And then I'm just kind of pulling it from the front back into the back. And then that helped me, because I was testing this before it actually went to testers, and didn't think about it until I was completely done. And I think she's added a note in there now. So that's what I did on mine, was because my head was very stuffed and it was very front heavy. So I just used my scissors and I just kind of pulled a bit of the fluff back kind of towards the neck area, and now he'll stand. So adorable. So Chappie the Cappy is released now on April the Cozy Buckeyes Etsy. It should be, if you're watching this on Sunday, it will be on sale, I think through just today, maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure, because she runs her sale through the weekend. I can't remember if she includes Monday or not, but you can go grab this pattern. It's fast, a great market make if you are a market prepper. So Chappie the Cappy from April from the Cozy Buckeye. No sew, super fast. I'm going to put 16 on it. Okay. So let's move on. So then I got that done for April, and we had been talking about, Robin and other people on YouTube have been talking about the trends of 2026. And me and Robin had watched the same video where I think Crochet Me Zaddy was talking about how classic teddy bears might be making a comeback. And I have several classic teddy bear patterns, and I have made maybe one of them. And I thought, you know what, let me get that pattern back out. And so, truth be told, I have made part of this pattern before, but I have never made it as it was written. I got a custom request a year and a half ago she saw my, it was the frog from Madeline Mako, Finley maybe, with the head and the longer body with the floppy. I mean, it was sitting kind of like Camille the cow version, but it was not Camille. Is it Camille? Anyway, Cashew, like Cashew the cow, but it was the frog one. Anyway, but she was like, I want it in a teddy bear. So I used the head from this pattern. So I've made the head, but I had never actually made the whole thing. So, but this is by Crochet Code AU, I think is what it is actually on Etsy. And this is Buddy the Bear. This is also Steel Cut Oats from Premier Basics Chenille. And so let's walk through a little bit about how this pattern is constructed. Got his big old fluffy tail. So this is Premier Basics Chenille and a 6mm hook. You make the arms and the legs and the tail, and you set them aside, and you make the ears. You set them aside. Then you make the body from the bottom up, and you crochet the legs and the arms into the body. And then you have to sew the tail on. You fasten off, so you set the body aside. It's got arms and legs attached to it. And then you work this head from the front to the back. It is no-sew. The head itself is no-sew, front to back. The muzzle is part of the construction. And you crochet the ears into the head across 2 rounds, I believe. Yes, you crochet the ears across 2 rounds. So you do once, like you left the ears open, and you do one side of the ear. The next round you pick up the back side of the ear. So technically you could stuff the ear, but I like them to be flat. So I didn't really stuff them. I just kind of left them how they were. These are 25mm eyes that I used. And then the last thing you have to do is sew the head to the body. So I sewed the head to the body. The tail was already on the body. And then I embroidered the little nose with, I think that's Posh. Yep. Or Naughty Ball. So cute. So it's not huge. I love the way, like when it sits, the little legs just kind of plop out next to it. But also if you just pick it up, they just kind of dangle. But I love when it sits and it just looks like a little plush. There is one error in the pattern that I found, and that is on round 10 of the head. Excuse me. It's round 10 of the head. And that's the first round and round 11. So round 10 and 11, you are attaching the ears. And it has you go so many, attach an ear, go so many, attach an ear, and then go so many to finish the round. The very last section of single crochet you do to finish the round, they have 9 stitches, and there's really only 6 on the round 10 and round 11. There's only 36 stitches in that round, but if you did everything they said, you would have 39. So instead of 9 stitches, you have to do 6 to finish it. So, and then the next round is just single crocheting around 36. So the stitch count says 36. It's just the very last row, 10 and 11, says 9 single crochet, and it should be 6 single crochet. Unless she intended for this to be 6 and she wanted that to be 9, because this is kind of pretty far apart. I tried to look at her pictures to see what I thought, where I thought that 6 ended up being, and it might be that you want them here so that your ears are closer together. So, but anyway, that's what I ended up doing anyway, is she's got 9, do an ear, 9, do an ear, 9, and you can't do that. It's 3 too many stitches. So you either have to take them out here or you got to take them out at the end of your round. If that makes sense. I think I'm going to put 28 on this guy. I think so. I mean, the legs and arms and tail and ears, lots of pieces, but super fast pieces to make. And then these are all crocheted in. They're really only the sewing that you're doing is the tail and the head to the body. So it's pretty low sew. So this is Buddy the Bear by Crochet Code, and I'm going to put 28 on him, and this is Premier Basics chenille and a 6mm hook. So that was pattern number 2 I did this week. That was new to me. So then I was like, okay, I want to make something. I just want to go through my patterns again and find something else that I haven't made, but that I just really want to make, right? And like, I mean, I want to see the outcome of it. And I won't lie to you, my Crojo was a little this week. We just had a lot of stuff going on between kids and, I mean, the winter storm. We were all locked in our house for several days, and then it was trying to get back to work, trying to get to some doctor's appointments that are rescheduled, and it was just kind of a crazy week. And so my desire to sit down and just be able to relax and stuff was just a little off this week, but I did manage some things. So this was the next thing that I managed, and this is the Owl by Mom Stitchetti. Okay, so like a classic Mom Stitchetti pattern, this has lots of options in it. So there are options from the beginning about, there's a snowy owl, the horned owl, there is do the eye sockets and sew them on, not doing eye sockets, doing these little spiked bobble stitches is what she calls them for the feet, or just doing regular bobbles and coming back and kind of embroidering or crocheting on little spikes so that it looks like he's got claws. This triangle and the eyebrows and the little horns were completely an option. These wings I think are the same for everybody, but they were really neat the way that they were constructed and then sewn on. So let's go through a little bit of this pattern. So when you start the pattern, you just have to kind of make some decisions about what direction that you're going to go with the design. She has a brown owl kind of in her pictures, and I was kind of basing slightly what I was going to do off of that brown owl, which I believe is this rust color, and she's got the chocolate and cream, but I want to say down here she used just the cream at the bottom. I used Premier Basics chenille everywhere, except for this is a Premier or a Burnett tweed color that I thought really integrated all of this stuff. And then she had sand down here on the feet, and I used the chocolate from up there. So I did a little bit of a different color scheme, but I was kind of basing it off of her picture. So I did the pieces that she did, which was the eye sockets, the triangle, the eyebrow with the horns. I did the spiked bobbles and went from there. So first thing I did was make the eye sockets. Her patterns are correct. Okay, just read them very carefully. Do not make an assumption about how you're going to make this eye socket. I'm not going to say that it's difficult, because it's not. It's just I did them wrong the very first time because I didn't read correctly. I made an assumption about what I was doing and I was wrong. So just make sure that you read. So I made the eye sockets and I set them aside. And then I believe I did the wings and I set them aside. And then we worked from the bottom up, and we did the feet with the bobbles. We made one foot, set it aside, made the other foot, and then you join them together to start working the body up from the bottom. You work the body all the way up, just really simple. You crochet these wings into the round on the same round that we switched to the head color, which I only switched colors because this particular owl, the brown one that she had in the picture, switched colors. You don't have to, you could use the same color for the whole thing. So I switched to, this is rust, but this is the bad rust from Premier Basics. That's more of like the curry color. It's not as rust as their rust usually is. It's not as brown as their rust usually is. And then you get up to the head. The head is this all one piece. So you just get up to the head and you change the colors and you're starting to work out the head from the body. And then you get so far, basically almost all the way to the top, and you have to do your eyes and your eye sockets, because that's the direction that I went. If you weren't doing eye sockets, you would just stop and put your eyes in like normal. But I was doing the eye sockets, so you had to put your eyes through the eye socket, which she tells you not to pull the magic ring closed really tightly, because you're going to use the center of that magic ring to enter or to put your eye sockets in. So I put my eye socket in there, and then I put it through the body as well. So you are inserting a safety eye. This is a sinker eye through both. She has a note, though, that if you are doing it through some thick yarns, that you might want to turn your post around. So a normal safety eye, sinker safety eye, when you put it through the body, you are putting your back on this way. And the yarn is going to go between these two layers here, and you're going to smash that yarn between this disc and this eye here, right? And because it's so thick, because you've got a whole eye socket and you have the body, and it's so thick, and she's worried about being able to collapse this down far enough and get it down where it actually catches the groove and snaps back here. She tells you that to turn it around and to put it on this way, okay? So I did that, and I had to use my Crochet Mojo tool instead of my little press tool, and then I just had to put this across the back of the eye socket like this, because I've got it in backwards, right? It's like really, I'm like, ugh. I mean, if I do this and it snaps, it's like it's in, right? But I put it on backwards like this, and then it did snap, and it felt like it wasn't going to come off, but it still didn't feel like it was down far enough. So I did put it across a couple more times and really clamped it down, and I got it down as far as I could get the post down. And at this point, I don't know why I keep putting this down, because I keep needing it. At this point, these, like the Crochet Mojo tool has like bent this rim kind of around a little bit, but because that rim is not going with the eye inside of it and really pulling the sinker eye in, it's going in this way. The sinker eye is going to stick out more. So you can see my eyes, you can see the edges of these eyes. When you wouldn't normally, on a sinker eye, you would not normally see edges around them like this, because the back disc is supposed to be around that part and it's supposed to be sunken, right? But because I turned them around so that they would snap on, you can see it. But these are not going anywhere. They're not. So normally when I would see somebody's eyes looking like this on their project, I would think you did not get your eye snapped on far enough, because you should not be able to see the side bits. I cannot get a good view for you guys here. You should not be able to see the side of the dome. Like the front of the eye is all that should be visible. The side depth should be completely sunken into your plushie when you are done. And in this case, you're seeing it because the disc went on backwards so that it would snap through both layers. So if you do the eye sockets, just be prepared to either use a non-sinker eye or put the post on backwards and have a tool. And maybe another tool would have done better, like maybe using some kind of, like some people use like sockets from socket wrenches and use just pressure. I didn't get out of my chair to do any of that. I just used my Crochet Mojo tool, and maybe that would have gotten it down a little bit farther and sunk a little bit more, but it's definitely on there. I'm not worried about it coming off. It's just not the same look as you get with a true sinker eye that goes on the correct way, if that makes sense. So you put the eyes in, the eye sockets, you finish this at the top and you close it up, you finish stuffing it all. And then she says to move forward with your eyebrows and tufts. and then to do the triangle if you're going to do the triangle. I decided to go ahead and do my triangle first because I wanted it to kind of connect to the cream part of my eye sockets, and I didn't want the eyebrows to come down too far and interfere. So I did the triangle first, and then I came back, and you make these eye tufts and then you sew them on. You whip stitch them onto the eye socket and up. This is not a surface crocheted piece. This is it's a chain piece with a special horn, and then you actually use an embroidery needle to sew it down and around the eye socket. So very, very neat outcome. And then I came back and I did a few little pieces of like little wing feather details kind of on the belly with the brown, just to kind of tie all the brown together. So this is Premier Basics Chenille, except for this is Bernat. I believe I used a 6.5 millimeter hook on this whole thing because I made sure that all my Premier was really beefy, really good and beefy Premier, and so I was able to combine it with Bernat and do, I think a 6.5 is what I ended up using, because that's what I use for Bernat usually, and Premier Basics sometimes I have to go down to a 6. I believe that if you don't do the eye sockets, because then you sew them down as well. Once you get the eye snapped through, you come back and you sew the eye sockets down on the face. I believe if you don't do these eyebrows sewn on, and you don't do this triangle, and you don't do the eye sockets, you might just put a safety eye in. It might end up being no sew. I don't know. I can't remember. But very cool. I love the way this turned out. It's not massive. I mean, it's, you know, as big as my head. That gives you some kind of perspective. I think I'm going to put 32 on this. These are 30 millimeter eyes, by the way. I don't think I told you what size they are. They're 30s. And again, this is the owl pattern by Mom Stitchetti, which has lots of options in there for how you customize it, just like her patterns always do. So cute. Okay. So let's move on to the third final new thing I did that was in my collection. And this was just kind of a random decision. I don't know. I was like, I want to find something easy in my collection that I haven't done that's just kind of cute, that's different, that I haven't seen anyone talking about, but isn't like that far out there and hard to make. I needed something easy. And anyway, I went through my Madeline Mako / Todd and James collection and found Tuna the ferret. So this is Tuna. A few things about this pattern, and I didn't talk to Madeline, but I'm part of her Patreon, and so I downloaded this pattern when she first dropped it in the Patreon, and she might have fixed this, I don't know, but I believe in the pattern, the one that I have, the copy of PDF that I have, and I don't know if it's going to be the same one if you buy it, but in my copy, she uses Premier Basics Chenille everywhere and tells you that this is steel cutouts and this is winter white. But on this head, she said the word toffee instead of steel cutouts, which made me think that I had to use a third color. But I think that that was probably from maybe that there is in Parfait Chunky, and that was from that. I'm not sure. So I used a third color, which I don't think looks bad. I don't think it looks like it was necessarily unintentional. But I used a different color. I grabbed 3 colors because I went through the pattern real quick, and I was like, oh, she uses steel cutouts, winter white, and a toffee color. And I didn't use Premier Basics Chenille. I used Elise Veludo for this. So I used, you know, these are numbers. But it's a cream and a really pretty warm brown. And then I used a little bit of a darker brown here. So, okay, so this pattern, you make the arms and legs and the tail ahead of time, and you set them aside. You make the head. You work from the front to the back, The ears are part of the pattern. You do the color change for the brown, you finish it off, you set it aside, and then you work the body from the bottom up. You crochet the tail, the legs, and the arms all into the round as you go up, and you fasten off, and then you sew your head to the body. So it's not no sew because you do have to sew the head to the body. But it is cute. The minute I got this head done, I asked my daughter, I'm like, what does this head belong to? She's like, it's a ferret. She knew exactly what it was. I didn't know if she would or not, but she totally recognized it. So adorable. This is Tuna the Ferret by Todd and James, formerly known as Madeline Mako. You're a member of her Patreon. This pattern is free in her Patreon, just like all of her patterns pretty much are. If you are not a member of her Patreon, she's always got great sales going on. You can find her on Etsy. So adorable. Tuna the Ferret, and I'll link everything down below, and it may or may not be popping up on the screen for you. So cute. And I just did plain black eyes. I did not, he's not very big. I mean, like, this is like, he's not very big at all. Like, I got done with his head and I was like, ooh, he's gonna be tiny. So I just used plain black. These are 15mm eyes. And then I just took a little bit of pink scrap yarn I had to do the little nose. Cute. So it's not no sew, but it's an easy sew. So if you haven't sewn but are kind of intimidated, this is not hard because you're just setting this head on top of this body and sewing around. So the one thing I would recommend is that before you get completely around the head, you get maybe 2/3 done. I always take more stuffing and I stuff it in the hole that I still have, and then really try to firm up the neck part before I finish sewing it on completely. Sorry if you can hear Dolly. My husband went down the hallway and she's whining because she didn't get to go with him. He probably went to go get a shower and she's like, oh, you left me by myself. Anyway, she's fine though. The little gate to go down the hallway is right outside this office door, but she'll go lay down in a second. So cute. Tuna the Ferret by Todd and James, Madeline Mako. This is a Lee's Voluto and a 5.5mm hook, 15mm eyes. Cute. So the new stuff that I did this week, these were the 3 patterns from my collection that were in my collection that I hadn't made before. Okay, so what else did I work on this week? Oh my goodness, guys. You know, I had a pattern release this week, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and everybody wants to know what's the next Pint-Sized Pal. I'm taking a little bit of a break just to kind of really decide what's next. Like I said, lots going on here. So I did, though, sit down and work up the horse. I don't love this bridle. I think it's too chunky for his face, so it's not really final yet. I do like a lot of the rest of him, but I may or may not make this bridle something smaller. Like, I suggest that you use a 4 or 5 weight yarn if you're using a 6 for the body. This is a all Premier Basics chenille, but then I used a Lee's Voluto, which I thought would be small enough, but it's just not. It's still too close together. So this is the horse. Don't know when I will make, I like to release them in pairs, so I don't know when I'll finalize this one and make another one that'll go with the horse. But super, I mean, it's the same as the other ones. The ears are done in the round. It's all no sew front to back, and then you surface crochet this hair on if you want that type of mane, and you basically, the way I did this bridle, you surface crochet it on. So and then you just finish the little ended tail. So this may or may not be coming, I don't know how soon, but this may be part of what's next. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided. And then I got to working on, I have patterns that I released before I was using Canva. And so I started using Canva before I did Fancy Pants. And so all of my sitting birds, my hamster, bunny, skunk patterns are all in an old format. And so one of my goals this year is to rework them. And I use yarn under now instead of yarn over. And I did find that when I was doing the Fancy Pants in yarn under, and I was using some of the same heads from my sitting collection at the very beginning, that they turn out different, right? The shape is just different when you yarn under versus yarn over. And so I reworked them a little bit as I was designing the Fancy Pants. So I just went back and I was like, okay, let's revisit some of my old patterns. So this week I started working on Pepper the skunk. So I remade Pepper. This is Pepper in Bernat Blanket with a 6.5 millimeter hook. And then this is, I don't know, was it covered up? Sorry. But I bought a different shades of creams and browns, like a pack on Amazon. And so it's single stranded too, which I love, so I can just grab it out and use it. And that's what this is that white. And I used, because it's hard to see, they need regular eyes because it's kind of tiny in this size of yarn. So I used a 15 millimeter eye, but I put a little bit of a highlight around it and used Premier Basics for a little bit of a nose. So I was rewriting it, and I'm having my Patreon group kind of just work through the Canva and make sure I didn't miss any details they felt like they needed. But also I was asking if they felt like, see, now that I yarn under, his body's a little shorter through here. And so I was just asking their opinion on whether or not, if you yarn under or over, one, post a picture, two, do you feel like I should add another row in here or something so that it's a little longer. And I think you could go either way. I mean, Pepper's meant to be a quick little market make, 45 minutes or so to make a pepper. Put 15 on peppers when I do sell them. So, and this is just a surface crochet. I go back and I single crochet in each round, and then when I go around the tail, I kind of go every other. I don't make sure I go in every single row. I skip a row or two here or there, and that helps it bend in like this. So this is Pepper. This is Cinder from Bernat Blanket too. That's the mystical blackish gray. So it's a little bit easier to see than black. But this is, my Patreon is testing this out right now, and we'll get this finalized, and then I will replace the PDF that is on Etsy with the newer version. I'm leaning towards leaving it the same. That way, technically, it's the exact same pattern, you know, and if you choose to add another round in here to make it longer, you always could. But right now, I'm leaning towards just leaving it the original pattern design so that it doesn't feel like it's new. Nobody feels like they're really missing out on having the redesign, because it's not really a redesign. I didn't fix and change anything on this one either. I just moved it into Canva and redesigned the pattern to kind of update it, because it was written in my old format. It wasn't even written in the way I write patterns today. It was written in lots of words instead of more abbreviations. It was, I'm not saying it's hard to do, it's just if you're used to my patterns and you go back and you try Pepper, you might be like, oh, this is different, because I used a lot more words and not the same abbreviations for, like the same order for some of the stuff that I do today. So anyway, so this is Pepper the Skunk. It's released now, it's on Etsy now. It's just in the old format still, which is just a Word PDF instead of a Canva PDF. And I'll probably be re-releasing it. I'll talk about it in the next week or two when it does get revamped. And that way, if you are looking to buy Pepper, but you want to wait for the prettier, it shouldn't even really be updated outside of, it's just rewritten and easier to understand and prettier, you know, format. then you can go get it if you want it. But I don't want anyone that's currently has the current version to feel like they've got to go remake it. But it will be free to my Patreon if you are in there. The PDF will be. And then I went back and was revisiting Finn. You know, my tag-along collection is just one of my first patterns I ever wrote and released. A little tag-along collection that has a frog, a mouse, a monkey, and a bee. I think that's all. A frog, a mouse, a monkey, and a bee. Maybe. But anyway, they're all designed to be flat-bottomed and to sit with their legs just kind of dangling. This is a little different than the original pattern because I do yarn under now, and I thought the eye bumps were going to be too small. So I added another round, and I actually don't like it. So this is, I think I'm going to leave Finn exactly the way it's written as well and just redo the pattern. But this is Elise Voluto. I hadn't made it in Elise Voluto because I didn't even have Elise Voluto yarn when I was making them. But I still like Finn. He's made to have like a little loop. He has a loop kind of in here where you can put him around a Stanley straw or put a clip on there and cling him onto something. He could cling, his hands can go inside of each other in the front like this. It will be rewritten and also released to Patreon probably after Pepper goes into my Patreon as well. So today is February 1st, speaking of Patreon, and if you have not looked at it, I briefly talked about it in the very beginning of January when I opened up the Eye Candy Club. And I only opened up so many spots because I did not want to be completely overwhelmed, and I was afraid I wouldn't have enough time to make more sets of eyes. But the Eye Candy Club is $30 a month, and it's US only, just because of the shipping has to be inside of the $30, and if I ship outside of the US, it's a lot more. So the Eye Candy Club on there is, you get everything that the In the Loop Club gets, which is a free pattern every month. You get some testing privileges. I don't pick every single Patreon person that applies, but you do get some preference. I pick them first. I try to rotate around when I do test. There's a chat in there where we chat and share things and links and stuff like that as well. I'm in there and active in the chats. And then the Eye Candy Club, though, you also get a set of 4 mystery safety eyes every single month. They are sinker eyes. They're always black pupil offsets. You get a 20, a 25, and a 30, and then your 4th set is one of those 3 sizes as well, but is a mystery to you. So you could get 2 20s, 2 25s, or 2 30s, and I mix it up. It's totally random, and they're not the same sets. Everybody doesn't get the same set either. I like to just make what I want to make too when it comes to safety eyes, but I just make sure that all 4 of your eyes are not the same color. They're different shades, very different from each other. I try to make sure everybody gets at least one really neat color shifting eye or holographic eye or a glow in the dark eye or something as well when I do the sets. And so I try to mix it up where you're getting a variety of styles as well. Well, January sold out pretty quickly. I think 4 days in, every single spot was sold. By the time I talked about it on here, there was only a few spots left because I had opened it earlier before I did my video 1st of January. So I'm going to open up some new spots in there for the Eye Candy Club. Not a ton, but I'm going to open up some more. I'm trying to just go slow because once you're in there, right? Like, you're already subscribed for the next month unless you cancel. So it's not like I can back it out without deleting people. So once I get to a certain level, I've got to stay there unless people leave and I don't backfill them. But yeah, so there will be a couple sets. If you go there though and it says that it's sold out, that means that they were already taken. I did offer them to my $5 In the Loop members and free members before I talked about it here. So they're getting first chance at moving up to that tier if they want. And then if there are any spots left, they'll be on my Patreon, which will be linked below. Okay. Last thing I have today is my pattern release. So if you follow me, I've been doing the Pint-Sized Pals this week. I released the duck and the goose. This is the duck. There is a mallard version and a regular version. The only thing you change is the colors. So adorable. This one's Elise Volito. Yeah. And this one's Premier Basics. And then the goose, which I showed you guys last week. And there's plain white goose, and then I just did a really fun springy pastel-y goose. This one's Elise Volito, and this one's Premier Basics. So here they are. They are released. They are still on sale. If you're watching this on Sunday or Monday, they are still on sale in my Etsy shop for 25% off for release weekend. You can get them in a bundle together with both patterns. You get the goose and the duck, which is 2 separate PDFs, but you'll get both and in the bundle, or you can buy them separately. Like, let's say you don't have any interest in the goose whatsoever or any interest in the duck, you can buy them a little cheaper by themselves if you don't want both. So that's all on my Etsy shop, which will also be linked down below. And it's, my sale was going to run through not just Sunday, but also all day Monday. So catch it before midnight on Tuesday if you're wanting the sale prices on that new release. So I think that's all I have for you guys this week. We're heading to my mom's today to do Henry's birthday lunch since it got canceled last weekend because of the snow. So that'll be exciting to get to finally celebrate his birthday today, and I get to see Miss Bella today. I haven't seen her all week because of the snow and just scheduling stuff, so I have missed her, which means I don't have any footage of her today for you guys, but I'm hoping to soak up a little bit of Bella time today, but I'll have to share her with all the cousins and the great grandma and aunts that are there today. So we'll see if I get much time with her or not. But thank you guys for joining me here. Hopefully you have a great week. I am hoping it warms up and that we don't have any more snow here. There's still piles and piles and piles of snow everywhere because it has been freezing cold and not gotten above freezing since the snow came, and it's still drifting over the roads, blowing all over the place. So we'll see if this week brings a little bit of a warmer weather and we get to thaw out a little bit. So sometimes though, when that happens, it also thaws and then it refreezes and that creates a thin layer of ice everywhere, and that's not very fun either. So hopefully we're all back to school and work like normal this week. We should be. We went back Friday, and hopefully it'll all start to melt and we'll get back to warmer weather. So hopefully you guys survived the ice and snow if you had it in your area as well. So okay, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for joining me here. Don't forget to check out April's Chappy to Cappy pattern release, my pattern release, also both on sale if you're watching this on Sunday. And then links for all of that stuff will be down in the description below. And feel free to leave a comment on which pattern that you are going to try, or maybe you have tried that you loved that I made today, and we'll talk down there. So I'll see you guys next week. Happy February. Happy crocheting. We'll see you. Bye. 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 Bye.